So I grew up with the idea that there was no better artist than Mozart. Yeah, that's what growing up with a very enthusiastic Mozart fan does to little girls. In my head, there's what I call the absolute scale of Mozart goodness. Mozart, obviously, god of music, at the very, very top of the scale. And all other artists can only be compared to Mozart from afar. The problem is, I hate Mozart. I mean, I don't hate him. I just don't appreciate classical music. I like pop, rock, folk, rap, country. I even like some jazz. I like a lot of things actually, just not classical music. I really don't appreciate it. That's probably also what growing up with a trained pianist does to little girls. This absolute Mozart scale is just one of those beliefs that you grow up with and that just lies there in the back of your subconscious, just sabotaging all your endeavors. And then you just realize it after so long and you're like, oh, no wonder. Because according to this scale, my music can never be good with a capital G. At the very top of the scale is a classical composer, and I don't make classical music. So my music can never reach the top. Logic. So when I realized I had this limiting belief and that I should let go of it, okay, I worked on that. But then what was I supposed to replace it with? I mean, I want to release my songs, but how am I supposed to know if any of them are any good? What's the criteria? What's the metric? What's the new scale? How do I know what's good, what isn't, and when it's time to release my music? I mean, there's obviously some objective metrics to good music. The singing has to be on pitch, the guitars have to be in tune, the beat has to, follow a predictable pattern and be in time, obviously. But then again, I was listening to that song Louie Louie from the Kingsmen, and he's not really on pitch. It didn't prevent it from becoming a hit. Also, Bon Iver's album, what is it called? Forever Ago? The guitars are out of tune on that whole album, and I fucking love it. Last example, there's a song by Radiohead called Everything in Its Right Place. It doesn't follow a predictable time signature at all. I think it oscillates between two of them. I freaking love that song. So it can't be objective criteria, at least not all the time. Okay, so maybe the criteria should be subjective, like if I like the music, then it's good. I mean, that sounds good in theory, like trust your gut, follow your heart, all the inspirational poster bullshit. But that would mean I'd have to love my music to release it. That can't be a sustainable metric for a perfectionist like me who just sees all the flaws in everything she does. I go from, oh my God, this is it, this is perfect. And then the next day I'm like, no, this is awful, I gotta fix this and this and this. I mean, I feel like nothing would ever be done if I used that metric. Okay, so maybe we let other people decide? Because I guess in the olden days, other people did have a part in putting out music. I mean, you had to have a record label, and they were the ones to say, okay, that one's good enough to release, that one isn't, go back to the drawing board. But now, I mean, I can just put music on Spotify tomorrow if I want. So, I mean, if it's not me that decides, then who? My friends? Other musicians? Random people on TikTok? Who gets to put a stamp of approval on a song? And plus, asking people's opinion on music isn't that straightforward. I had yet another example of this the other day with a drummer friend of mine. We were talking about music, like we do, and we were both raving about this one specific song. So I was like, cool, kindred spirits. We have the same music taste. Maybe we can work together. And then I mentioned other songs and he was like, not into it. I mean, he hated them. And then he mentioned his favorite songs, and most of it was this weird, very dissonant jazz funk fusion. I can't even listen to that without my brain melting. So at first I was kind of confused, and then I realized we don't even listen to the same things in a song. I mean, he's a drummer. He listens to the beat. He listens only to the drums. On that specific song, there's an awesome beat apparently that I hadn't even heard. And he was raving about it while I was just listening to the song lyrics and the melody, because that's what I do. I'm a singer-songwriter, so that's kind of the only thing that counts. Yeah, I'm sorry if you're a musician, but I'm one of those people that just waits for intros and solos to be done so we can get back to the singing. So anyway, this friend, I can't ask him his opinion on my songs. He'll give me advice maybe on the beat, on the drums, but his opinion on my lyrics? Okay, so if there's no objective criteria, if I can't trust my own judgment, and other people's opinions are unreliable, what's left? I can hear them in the back saying, who cares? Just release your fucking music already. Stop just talking about it. Talking about releasing music is just a form of procrastination. Just do it. I mean, I really struggle with this. I see a lot of people putting their music on Spotify, and some of it, honestly, kind of shitty. It's badly recorded, the singing is really off-key, the lyrics sound like ChatGPT wrote them, and the mixing, I mean, I don't have an ear for mixing yet, but even I can hear there's some EQing problems in there. And I really admire them for putting themselves out there, but it's also kind of cringy. Some days I'm like, fuck it, just release your song even if it's not perfect. Just get on with it. And then other days I'm like, no, just wait a little bit more. It can be really good if you just put a little more work into it. Not to mention, I'm not alone in this. I mean, I write most of the lyrics and I sing on the songs, but most of the music is co-composed with Sebastian, my husband. He does the production, he does all the arrangements, and he also plays all the instruments. So obviously he has to like it too. He has to be okay to release. And he doesn't even like the same music as I do. When I played him that Bon Iver album I was talking about, he was like,
yeah, okay, it's okay. But he could have tuned his guitars, no?
Plus, he also hears things in music that I don't. He's a guitar guy. I mean, he plays bass and piano, but he's mostly guitar. He's the kind of guy who loves instrumental rock music from the 70s. You know, the ones with the endless guitar solos. Choosing music on road trips, not easy in my family. The only thing we have in common in music is, oh, no, there's Radiohead. But also, he's a perfectionist like me. So the two of us together, that's a lot of songs just waiting for permission to be heard, let me tell you. So what do you think? How do you do it? Do you wait for the songs to be perfect before we release them? Should we share songs now while we're still learning? I'd love your input. And don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss my debut single. It's almost ready. I just need a couple more tweaks for it to be perfect. I'll keep trying.